This is the Backporch Education Podcast. Today on the show, Steve and I
celebrate our 4th season.
Thank you, yeah.
Get your education. Backporch Education.
Good evening, good morning, good afternoon. Whoa, Steve, I almost read the wrong poem.
Well, that would have been a shame.
Narrowly avoided that
Have
disaster.
to ruin a party right up front. Read the wrong poem.
Right. Probably you could eliminate wrong. Just read a poem.
No, I'm sure there's poetry parties out there. I just don't get invited.
Right. Yeah. Dead Poet Society reference here, right? Just include fill in the blank, listener. You've been with us a while now. You know how this goes. So I think you'll like this one, Steve. It's entitled Ox Cart Man by Donald Hall.
You've done that before.
Well, there you go.
I'm fairly confident that that's in our
I bet it is.
repertoire.
Dang.
Edit.
Yeah. Well, shoot. It's such a good poem.
Well, just edit me saying you did it and do it again.
No, I think we'll leave it in there. All right. Even still, it's worth a go. Here we go. Oxcart Man by Donald Hall. In October of the year, he counts potatoes dug from the brown field, counting the seed, counting the seller's portion out, and bags the rest on the cart's floor. He packs wool, sheared in April, honey in combs, linen, leather tanned from deer hide, and vinegar in a barrel hooped by hand at the forge's fire. He walks by his ox's head, 10 days to Portsmouth market, and sells potatoes, and the bag that carried potatoes, flaxseed, birch brooms, maple sugar, goose feathers, yarn. When the cart is empty, he sells the cart. When the cart is sold, he sells the ox, harness, and yoke, and walks home, his pockets heavy with the year's coin for salt and taxes. And at home, by fire's light in November cold, stitches new harness for next year's ox in the barn, and carves the yoke, and saws planks, building the cart again.
Yeah, there's so many things in that poem, but what always stands out to me is just the self-sufficiency, right?
Yeah.
That he has this wide-ranging set of knowledge that allows him to make the things, grow the things, plan the whole thing out.
Right.
Because it's actually a plan that works.
Exactly.
And there's just this freedom that comes from being able to take it all to market, sell it all,
Right.
benefit from it, apart from the part that he has to set aside for taxes.
Yeah. Right.
It's a picture of a lot about what this podcast is about. Is that good education can be done.
Yeah.
It does require some thought and some energy, but the final goal is a self-mastery that allows for that kind of freedom.
Yeah.
That if I put the time in, come market time,
Yep.
I have what I need to take. I've got the ox, I got the yoke, I got everything together.
Goose feathers.
It works.
Yep. Yeah. I well said. The freedom that comes from order, right? Mm-hmm. Self-mastery, that when you have ordered yourself, then you are able to be free in a way that if you were not as intentional about ordering yourself, you wouldn't be free because you couldn't sustain yourself.
Well, you'd have to unionize and
Yeah. Etc.
in an attempt for the higher wage,
Right.
based on pressure and power,
Right.
rather than just walking home with
Heavy
pockets.
pockets.
Yeah, that's a great. And you said he just recently passed away.
Yeah, it has. It's been fairly recently. He wrote that poem in 1990.
90. So
Yeah.
so he's not writing about his village. The ox cart man lives down the street from me.
I can't.
He's
imagine.
hearkening back,
Yeah, absolutely.
and I think he misses. He seems to have a yearning heart
Right.
that I could be the ox cart man.
Mm.
There's a definite empathy
Yeah.
that's running through. The
It
poem.
certainly is evocative. It calls you to want to do that, even if you're like, dude, I live in the city and I'm totally happy
Right.
with my life here. There is the way that the poem is structured. It calls you to be like that.
Yeah. Well, I think more so when we know we can't.
Mm.
Right. It's
Yeah. Yeah.
I won't call it a pipe dream, but I'm not making my own barrel.
Right.
It's a barrel dream.
I'm not shooting my own geese.
Yeah. Well, we have set this probably shorter than usual podcast aside to just kind of cheer on the other folks on the porch, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
You and I
Give
talk our
feedback
heads off.
yeah. We want to hear. We want to hear, and we are hearing. So maybe start there. Let's say thank you to those who are chiming in, who are communicating through various media to us, Facebook or phone call or website, what have you, YouTube certainly.
Yeah, I think that's one of the interesting things is that we're available in so many different ways
Yeah,
that there may be people who assume what they see in their avenue to us is all there is.
right.
We're seeing from what we don't pay for a whole lot of statistics,
Right.
but the freebie stuff is indicating that there's a growing following on YouTube, for instance. The Apple Podcast route gets hits. There's a few people on Castbox, etc. There are people who've told me that they know about the website. They can find the website. I just listen to it on the website, and
Nice.
that's fine and dandy.
Sure.
But we're pleased as punch about those who do know about us
Yeah.
and have never viewed this from a mercenary standpoint. It's not. I mean, there are some bills, and so hit the donate button and help keep us
Yeah.
moving along. But this is more about help and pleasure and interaction and helping us think things through that are important to us in education.
Yep.
But by all means, share us. We don't have any problems with you telling folks that we're here.
Right.
And I'll give a specific shout out to one former student of mine and yours who has spoken up and asked several questions that have turned into podcasts.
Right.
And I know her heart yearns towards a teaching career, and so she's kind of got herself what she wanted, while causing us to think about things that we otherwise wouldn't have thought about. So
Yeah.
I'm excited about that, and I'm excited about the notion of another year. We've had some great conversations. I think there's a sense in which the longer we do this, the more natural it becomes, and,
Right.
and less of a
Fanfare. Less.
Yeah.
It's not structure that we're losing. It's
I mean, we started off with some notes and
yeah.
outlines and stuff, and we now just it's actually much more like the fiction, right? That we're sitting on a back porch having a conversation. It's really often weather and whatnot, and logistics makes it indoor most of the time.
Right.
Thank you, air conditioning in North Carolina. But But it is still just a conversation, often not knowing where we're going to go or where we're going to end up.
Right.
Which is probably obvious to them.
Yeah.
But it's a fun.
Well, but that's the glory of it. I don't mind to broadcast the fact that our conversations don't always go well, right? That we're not, strictly speaking, in control of each syllable.
Mm-hmm.
That may, in fact, make for bad podcasting. I hope it doesn't, but it may be. Even still, I don't know. I'm reminded of Chesterton, right? Anything worth doing is worth doing poorly.
Yep.
And I think if you, if I was going to hang my hat on anything we've been doing for, you said 80 episodes before we hit record, which blew my mind. If there's anything I was going to hang my hat on, it would be that we're committed to the notion that conversation is worth having.
Yep.
And specifically conversation about education. It's worth doing. And so if we're doing it poorly, fine.
Yep.
I'm fine with it.
Sure,
and I think we do
some
well
input
sometimes.
from our listeners on how to do it better.
Right.
Or things we still haven't covered.
Right.
You know, you hear the number 80 and you think, well, Jesus, is there anything left to talk about?
Right.
And we, of course, have teased from time to time over the last 3 years that one thing we would love to do is have the side porch open up.
Yeah.
Because of the nature of it, it would be a much more intensive, in-depth, deeper dive into some important subjects in education.
Right.
That would probably cost a few bucks from the person that wants to listen to it.
Right.
But even there, the our desires are fairly small to get some new mics or keep paying for the website or stuff like that. But just to have additional resources, Jason tools around his school with his Backporch Education mug.
I certainly do.
Which is more of a at this point what would I call it, a model or a test?
Yeah, prototype.
A prototype.
Yeah.
Mine, of course, was wonderful until I put it in the dishwasher. So we've worked on learning how to do
no returns accepted.
Well, we've got better.
Yeah, that's right.
We've got better stuff now. We're getting more confident, and at some point, being able to offer tchotchkes to our listeners and whatnot. But at the heart of it is still just the desire to get together and talk. As a recent episode evidenced, just talking about great books on education.
Yeah.
Could be a season in itself,
It
or
really
a whole
could.
side porch thing.
Yeah.
And we've only scratched the surface of great movies about teaching. There's a lot of people that you and I know that when we get that arm twisted around harshly enough, we'll get them on.
Yeah.
We've had some great interviews. I think some of our better shots have been some of the interviews. But
yes, I agree.
We intend to keep doing what we're doing. We would love to know what the listener would like us to do.
Mm-hmm.
If there's a nagging question, I sure wish they would talk about.
Yeah.
Please fill in that blank.
Yes.
And there's ways to do that. There's a comment section on the website, and of course we kind of have gone all in. We are on iHeartRadio, and there's ways to give us feedback through that. Spotify,
Right.
right in there with Joe Rogan.
Right.
Not to plug his show.
Castbox.
Castbox,
Apple.
Stitcher,
Ooh, didn't know about that one.
Google.
Okay. Oh yeah, I used to listen to us on Castbox, but now I see our shows on Google.
Google.
Yeah.
Right. And they're trying to get a good chunk of the I think at the moment, and it changes almost daily, but iHeartRadio is really the podcast place at the moment. That really seems to be what's really going at podcasts. But you know, Apple had it for a while.
Right.
Stitcher and Castbox have always made their play, but I think Google's trying to be the dude.
Yeah.
So I don't.
Shocking.
By all means, you know,
Yeah,
have
sure.
it out, guys. We're on all of it.
Smorgasbord.
And that little WordPress website that we have just keeps tooling away. You can play it right there. And in particular with the website, you know, there's some pages to know a little bit more about us. We still have to get our mugs up there. We're faceless.
Not
people.
that we're particularly good looking.
No, but these disembodied voices.
Right.
If nothing, we need the humility.
right.
Maybe our voices make us sound handsome. I doubt that. But there's means to make comments on any show right there in the website. So Facebook and Twitter, we try and put something out almost daily on those. Sometimes it's funny. I'm trying to be funny. Sometimes it's funny, sometimes it's just sad. Sometimes it's sort of pedantic. But
hey. Yeah, it's good. Either way. No, I think that's good. And in particular, I want, like you've mentioned already, feedback, both on where you'd like us to head from here, if in terms of particular ideas. I mean, we have a list.
It's not that we're begging for ideas.
No.
We got a long list.
It's right. It's that we like to hear.
We want to scratch
exactly.
where people are itching.
Exactly. And then the other thing is, just in terms of keeping the bills paid, you know, we have cast about. We have done our due diligence, and we've looked at Patreon models. Mm-hmm. We've looked at doing our own independent subscriber type thing where we're not beholden to any site with user agreements and whatnot. We've looked at all kinds of different selling mugs and side projects. I think I'd really appreciate some feedback just in terms of, for our listeners, like, what works for you guys? You know, like we're doing a little research here and just saying, what would be the easiest way for you to make that happen if you felt so inclined to contribute to the show. We're not looking for a handout as much as exchanging value for value.
Yeah. Well, and honestly, at the heart of this, not that we have a big business plan, we don't.
Right.
But as much as we like talking to each other, we would love the conversation to practically increase, right?
Yeah.
To have a larger group of people together to talk.
Right.
Whether that means if you're part of a school or a homeschool co-op or a group of people thinking about education in a specific geographic location, we travel.
Yeah.
You know, we'd be glad to come interact with you. And then the notion that we've kicked around from time to time is, branching out into having retreats or whatever you want to call it, opportunities to talk about these at a fuller, several day event with some nice scenery to look at.
Right.
Really, really nice back porch.
Yeah. Nice rocking chairs.
Yes.
Yeah.
So there's all
that's the
kinds of
ultimate
directions
for me, man. Like I would. We're dreaming about that one, and I'd love to see that happen. And the idea of getting people together to talk about these things that we talk about.
It's amazing to me.
Oh man, it's so cool.
That I do this all the time with seniors.
Okay.
In high school.
All right.
Right. And I have two goals in mind when I do a senior seminar.
Okay.
One is long term. I believe that conversation can save our civilization.
Yep.
That it's in decay,
Yes.
And the only thing that can kind of preserve it is if we talk about the really important things together in a setting that isn't polarized, that isn't polemical and caustic and so on, but is rational, civil discourse.
Yeah.
Right? And so long term, I'm trying to give them a taste of it and the skills necessary to do it. The habits form over 9 months of doing this daily. They change in their ability to listen to someone, to interact with a text, to talk to each other in the writing of their thesis paper. It's
good.
It's clarity, thought, and whatnot. But the other rather immediate benefit is that they're people too.
Yeah.
And so when they interact with the great ideas, the stuff that we all think about, they're young people trying to figure out love. They're young people trying to figure out what is just and what's legitimate. You know, when they hit the Republic, they feel it.
Sure.
I want to live in a good city. I want to live in a good land. I want to see things done right. And I know adults are even more there. But where can you go to have those kind of conversations these days? And you can certainly listen in.
Yeah.
I know both you and I listen to a fair amount of podcasts.
Right.
Because there's people seeking the truth out there, and I want to seek it with them.
Right.
But there's something about the physical presence, the actual real face-to-face conversation that in this day and time of everybody trying to stay away from each other is in more need than ever.
Yeah. Yeah, well, the notion of a true interlocutor, of talking back and forth. Yeah. Well, we could go on. There's a lot more, and in fact, we will go on for another season. We're excited for what the Lord has in store for us, for what for how we're going to see this show continue to develop, and we just want to say thanks for coming along this far, and buckle up, because
it's still fun for me. I think it's fun for Jason.
It's fun for me, man. I'm enjoying it.
We're happy that some other folks have fun with it too.
Get your education. Backporch Education. You can't have your meat if you don't eat your vegetables.